Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. So on behalf of my dad, my brother Eric, and my sister Jessica, we just want to thank you all for coming and for celebrating Mom with us. She was a very special wife, mom, Grammy, sister, aunt, and friend. We'd like to say a few prayers and share some memories tonight, and we hope that if you're feeling up to it, that you'll come and join us up at the microphone and say a few things. If you would rather do it on the sly, Shannon will be happy to take a little recording of that as well. So to start us off, we've asked that Tony lead us in prayer, and then we have a very special song with Mackenzie and Ansley and Liz. So, all right.
Okay, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we gather in your presence today with hearts that are heavy and grateful. Heavy because we are here to honor and remember Joyce, a woman we loved so dearly, and grateful because our lives were forever blessed by her presence, her love, and her legacy. Lord, thank you for the gift of Joyce, a life marked by strength, grace, compassion, and unwavering devotion to her family, to all who knew her. Thank you for the example she set, for how she worked tirelessly, loved without limits, and faced life challenges with remarkable courage and determination. As her son-in-law, I had the privilege of witnessing Joyce's spirit up close, the way she poured herself into everything she did, whether raising her children and grandchildren, building a beautiful, beautiful home with Bill, or creating a warm space where everyone felt like family. She gave her all. Even in pain, she lived fully and loved deeply. As we begin this service, we invite your presence to be among us. Fill this room with your peace, surrounding Bill, her children, her grandchildren, and every friend she held dear with comfort and strength. Let Joyce's memory rise in our hearts, her laughter, her wisdom, her warmth, and her unwavering faith. May this time be not only a reflection of sorrow, but also a celebration of a life that was truly well lived. Help us to honor her by the way we love, give, and live from this day forward. In Jesus' name, let us all say, Amen.
All these pieces, broken and scattered, in mercy gathered, mended and whole. Empty-handed, but not forsaken, I've been set free, I've been set free. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see you now. Oh, To know why I cry every time I see a sunset. To know why I smile all the things I can't forget. To know why my heart may take a while to mend. To know me, you would have to know my friend. I can't help but dream when I hear the train coming. I can't help but laugh when I lose my keys again. If you had to count my quirks for every dozen, to know me, you would have to know my friend. If you've ever seen fireworks lighting up the sky, then you know how quickly time goes in the blink of an eye. Oh, and there's a hidden treasure to take away with you. If you've ever loved someone and they had to leave too soon, to know what I'd trade for one more day at home. To know what it takes to live my life without them. I could tell you all the details of who I am, but then again, to know me, you would have to know my friends. If you've ever heard a bird sing in the middle of the night, then you know that heaven's waiting to take you by surprise. And the more you love somebody, the more you have to lose. But when they leave this world, they leave their fingerprints on you. To know why I keep on pushing past the limit. To know why I live every day like it's the end. To know why I'm grateful every single minute. To know me, you would have to know my friend. To know me, you would have to know my friend.
I don't know about y'all, but that was amazing. It's hard. All right. So everybody that knew Mom knew that she was a special lady. And we just want to thank everybody for being here and just to give a little overview of Mom and her life and just to give honor to her and just how special she was. So on August 17th, 1949, Mom was born in Tallahassee, Florida, by Jackie and Jesse Tumlin. Her sister was Helen, and her brother was Scott. She graduated from FSU and graduated with an interior design degree. When Mom and Dad were 14 and 15, they met at Leon High School. Dad later moved to Jacksonville, but God had bigger plans. So they met back up at FSU, and where the rest is history when they got married. And June 12th, 1971, they got married and moved to Atlanta. That first year was challenging. They moved and didn't know anybody, this big city, Atlanta. And then Dad had to go to basic training, and he was there for 10 weeks. There, Mom worked tirelessly at a bank, and on her days off would drive 4 hours to see Dad on his 15-minute break, and then drive 4 hours back. That Thanksgiving, they had not met anybody yet, and she actually spent that first Thanksgiving by herself that day. Mom and Dad raised 3 kids, Brenna, Jessica, and me. When I was 3, she launched a custom home building business. And around that time, Colette came from the Netherlands to help take care of us. Colette quickly became part of the family. Mom didn't just build homes, she also decorated over hundreds of homes. For 25 years, Mom built and decorated homes and won numerous awards, and was able to work on some of the most prestigious projects in the city. With that, they also started a home rental business and ran that for 20 years. But the crazy thing was that every night, Mom would still come home and cook dinner, raise 3 kids, and took me to endless basketball and baseball games and chorus recitals and all those different things that I just don't know how she did it all, but we were just so thankful. In 1986, Mom and Dad purchased the lake house. And with that, it created memorable weekends for all the friends and family. And Mom, it was not just a weekend. She was an entertainer. She built all the most elaborate, most masterpiece dinners, and was able to her passion was bringing people together. It was always the more the merrier. Joyce Kooymans called her as the perfect hostess. She never went halfway, and she always went above and beyond. For 54 years, Mom and Dad were married. And the testament to their marriage was their teamwork. They were risk takers. They managed the ups and downs, and they built in the housing market and in the challenges through their professional career. Together, they raised 4 kids. They put us all through college. They celebrated all of our marriage. Have 11 grandkids who all love to get together for holidays. People say that you'll know somebody's true character when you see their friends. With that, Mom and Dad maintained and developed friendships with dozens of people for over 50 years. One is the Big Chill group, with Judy here representing them, as well as the Bridge group, that are Bridge buddies that they've had for over 50 years. And each of them would all say they're not just friends, they're family. Mom was a devout Catholic, and she lived her life with faith, joy, and unwavering determination. She was a proud patriot. She was a Braves fan and never missed a FSU football game. For 25 years, Mom went through digestion, small intestine challenges. It was from side effects from radiation that she had from uterine cancer. But you had never met a stronger fighter than Mom. She would host a 30-person event and would make this most amazing meal, and you would never notice that anything was wrong or she couldn't have eaten for 3 days. Mom and Dad went to every specialist and did everything they could to try to fix her issues. The last 4 months, Mom had 5 surgeries, and you would never met somebody that would fight harder to be able to do well. She took every battle with a stoic determination. For 25 years, she was trying to get somebody to fix her in terms of being able to do surgery, and none of the doctors would do it. But when one doctor came in, he was like, well, we have to do it, or it's not going to go well. She's like, finally, let's go. And but later she was asked, after the second surgery, the second bowel intestine surgery, why do you keep fighting with such pain and discomfort? And she said, because she loves life so much. Mom was an inspiration to all of us. She prioritized family time and pursued everything wholeheartedly. Failure was never an option. It just needed more planning and more scheduling to be able to make it happen. She's left a legacy in everybody in this room, from Brenna, Jessica, Colette, me, 11 grandchildren, and all the friends and family that she's touched. Mom's impact was on everybody. Her willingness to serve and to entertain, her determination just to invest and improve, and the never settle. She had attention to detail, and she always went big. She had the ability to dream with Dad, and they made it happen. And Mom, we are all blessed by Mom. So what are some of the things that I love most about Mom? One, she was all about quality time. If it was a lake house, a beach trip, a cruise, a big holiday, even just a small dinner with family, she was always about quality time, and nothing got in the way of quality time with family, even sickness. Mom was an entertainer. She just didn't. She never took any challenge. It was never an issue. She just needed to always overcome it, and she never went halfway. You could never use plastic plates, paper plates. It had to go the whole 9 yards. And we finally convinced her. She was still wanting to get out the fine china. But from there, she would just plan, she would schedule to the exact minute. If you ever saw how all these meals would come together, there was literally times of when she started, days and days in advance, of when they went to the store, to when they went to thing, when they put on this and put on that. And then some masterpiece would happen at the exact time in which it was supposed to happen. Things would come out of everywhere, and you'd have a warm meal perfectly on the plate with all of the right decorations and all the special bowls. And God rest your soul if you moved the little decoration on the table. It had to be there. But Mom was the most passionate person I knew. She loved the Atlanta Braves, the football, watching FSU football. She loved watching the Five with Dad. She loved going to my Little League baseball games. And yes, Mom was the one yelling at the ref. And everybody knew where Mom stood. She was the most passionate. She would bite those back teeth, and she'd point that finger. And I will say, Liz will attest that I actually got that trait too, and I apologize now. But everybody knew where Mom stood, and she had a great heart with it. Mom was a patriot. She loved this country, and she loved the founding principles that make it great. If anybody ever talked bad about our country or the people defending it, you would sure to know it. If anything were ever to affect her kids or her grandbabies, she would be the one talking about it. There are even some times when some brownies threw up against the wall, or Brad, or glasses that, somebody would say something, she would throw glasses up against the wall. But the point is that she loved her country and everybody that fought for it. Mom never stopped learning. It wasn't just the daily crossword puzzles, but she was always trying to understand and improve and to do the things. I didn't fully understand it until we started making the montage. So we got out Mom's phone. Over half of the phone was screenshots of recipes, of random chairs, of carpets, of anything that she would be doing to decorate a house. I mean, she was always, the attention to detail was so exact. And all of her notes of every single thing that we've ever done was there. And it was just, she's the most attention to detail person that we've ever met. Mom was the best friend that anybody could ever have. John Siebold, Mom's brother-in-law, sent a note saying that I don't think there's another person or relative that has impacted our lives more than Mom. She always gave herself to anybody that she ever met. No matter what time of the day, you could call Mom and she would be willing to talk. That would never mention that she was just up all night or having a major challenge. She was there to do anything that she could to help. She was also very, very patient. No matter what was going on in her life or ever that is issues, she would stop the craziness to be able to just listen and be there in the present. And then right when she got off the phone, all of a sudden all systems go, and she'd be back to the amazing things that she was doing. Mom and Dad were great parents. They would keep us straight. They would push, and they did not put up with anything. Some would say that I would have a little bit of stubbornness, and Mom and I would butt heads a little bit, just a little bit. But she was sweet. She was tough. She pushed us all to be better, to finish the job and do whatever it takes. She would give hugs when we need it, but she'd also give tough love when we deserve it. She was the mom and dad led by example. And they gave everything they had to be able to be there for family and to be good examples for us. And we thank you for being such amazing parents. The one thing that you would never know is that Mom and Dad helped dozens and dozens of people. They would never say anything, but they'd quietly find ways in which they could help. They would look for ways in which they would be able to do it. And sometimes it would be somebody they worked with, somebody's a friend, a boyfriend, a family member, anybody they met, they would try to be able to help. But Mom and Dad, they did everything they could. They sometimes paid for colleges, did hospital bills, bought cars, did houses, paid for funerals, travel expenses, hospital bills, whatever they could do. And they never expected anything in return. They just wanted to help and to be able to help people through the challenges as they entered people's lives. Mom was resilient. She would roll with the punches when needed. One time she was building a house and the foundation cracked and it was a major issue. But she did what it took the extra care and made it perfect. One time the market crashed, and from there they had to sit on a house for over a year. They had a chance of losing everything. But with that, they pivoted and they said, okay, hey, we're going to start a home rental business. And from there, went to manage over 15 homes and to be able to do that. Sometimes 5 minutes before dinner, a boat would show up with 6 people. And they would invite them for dinner. And somebody would open the fridge and go figure out and make it happen. But my failure was never an option. And she always did what it took to make it happen and to be able to do a great job. You can't go with talking about Mom without saying a couple things to Dad as well. Dad, you are the best role model and the best husband that a man could ever be. He would work 10 to 12-hour days for 40 years to make all of Mom's dreams come true. You taught us what hard work is. You'd work 60 hours a week, take us up to the lake house, deal with renters. You would mow the grass and weed whack these big, huge hills after a full week of work. You would deal with boat problems and jet ski problems with such grace. You would with such grace. And with that, you would then go back to work and do it the same thing again. You did everything that you could to make Mom's dreams come true. You blessed everybody in this house, in this room, and countless other people. You did everything not for yourself, but to accomplish the goals of the week, to be able to make it where we had such a special time to spend together with family. And together, you and Mom were a great team. With that, the biggest thing is you supported Mom. When you got home from work, 7, 8 o'clock at night after a long day, you would look at the mail and bills for 15 houses. You would then help Mom with her list, and then you still had the mental fortitude, which I barely have the time to walk downstairs. But you would be able to talk to Brenna, Jessica, and I, and deal with our boy problems or girl problems or whatever the issue was today. And you always entered our world. It was just made such a long day that made it so personal, and to be able to get it through, be able to help us through that day. If anybody knows Mom, she was an ambitious traveler. Mom and Dad went to Europe, Egypt, China, the Middle East, EAU, Dubai, Australia, New Zealand, Moscow, Bali, Hawaii, Mexico, Canada, Tahiti, South America. They dodged Somali pirates on a cruise ship going around Somalia. And Dad, you took Mom anywhere she wanted to go. Even if you weren't feeling better, there were times where Dad was puking all the way over the sea on the plane. And then the first day on the boat, the next day, he would be in a nice suit, tied up, and you could tell he's feeling like dog, but from there, he is there to make Mom's dreams come true. And Dad, you are such a fighter, just like Mom. A year ago, you had your health challenges, and seven doctors told us that you were not going to make it. But I know the reason that you fought so hard was that you loved your Joycey. With that, for 25 years, she battled, and she was either stopped up or run into the bathroom and had many countless nights, 2 or 3 nights a week, but you supported, cared, and encouraged Mom through this time. The last 4 months, she had 2 emergency surgeries, and Dad encouraged and assured and helped her through making decisions of what to do. And he assured her that it was okay, whatever decision she had, and that she had fought so hard for so long, that it was okay. Even the last night, the toughest night of them all, he stayed by her side and was there holding her hand throughout the whole night. When he woke up that morning, we thought it was a normal, a regular night, but he woke up and he basically was up all night long. And he was like, it was a tough night, but he was there with her throughout it. You can't go throughout this past 5 months without thanking Tony and Jessica. For the past year and the last 5 months, to say it was tough is an understatement. But Tony and Jessica, they paused their lives and moved in with Mom and Dad to take care of all of their needs full time. If it was endless doctor's appointments, PT, late nights, sometimes all-nighters, Jess and Tony were there. Organizing medicine or medical charts, all the medical decisions, Jessica was amazing with everything that she did. Tony had endless trips to the store, cooking amazing meals, and for the last couple months was Mom's personal transportation device, carrying her anywhere she wanted to go at any time of the day. And even had some, he was also the catcher. It was a, needless to say, he did it with grace. And to say that they did an amazing job, it's understandable. But they did it with love and grace and amazing attention to detail. Jessica and Tony, you blessed Mom and Dad over this last 5 months. And Mom was able to come home and was able to die with her loved ones because you made a safe place for her to be there. I also can't go without saying a special thank you to Brenna. Over the last year, she's jumped in to help Mom and Dad with everything from all the insurance stuff, the bills, to all the craziness of just what's going on. And then despite all of her, responsibilities at home with teaching, all of that stuff, every morning before school, she would talk to Mom and to make sure everything was going okay. She's planned all of these different things and coordinated the whole day over the last different days, getting chairs and beds, anything that Mom would need to be able to do it. And we couldn't have done it without you. And lastly, we just want to say thank you for everybody here for coming and everybody online that's there supporting Mom. We know that your love and support, we've felt it over the years. Especially over the last several months. All the different emails, responses, the text messages, we make sure to print those out and to be able to share those with Dad. So he likes to reread and be able to spend time just remembering the times and to being able to do it. And afterwards, if you would like to be able to say a special message and you don't want to come up here and say something, which we'd all love for you to do, but you also can, with that phone over there, Shannon will be able to take a video and you could do it in kind of a private space as well. So we thank everybody for being here and for everything. And if anybody else would like to come up with
Joyce. I just wanted to say, you all know me, but I came here a little over 40 years ago, and Bill thinks that I came here and stayed here because I love the USA so much, and I do love the USA, but that's not why I stayed. I love Bill and Joyce and the kids. Brenna, Jessica, and Eric, it was like within a week, I think. I mean, it was right away. We just loved each other. And we had very good times. And, that's why I'm here. If you were in China, I would have been in China. But I love you all so much. And you're such a wonderful family. And what Eric said is so true. But I also want to, say some more. Joyce was there also for my family, for the girls, and she was there when they were born, and Bill was too. And one time, and that says so much about Joyce, because it was very hard. The girls cried and cried and cried in the beginning, and Joel and I were up all night, every night, with 2 crying babies walking around, and Joyce and Bill came over one day, and and Joyce saw, I was a basket case. I hadn't slept for more than an hour at a time. And she said, and this is when I was still breastfeeding, and they were like just a few weeks old. And she said, I'm taking them with me, and I'll bring them back tomorrow. And I'm like, no, you can't. I mean, I need to feed them. She said, they'll survive a bottle for a night. It'll be fine. And she took them. She took them and brought them back the next day and told me, they sleep much better on their stomach, just so you know. But that was Joyce. She was always there for, us, and she loved the girls so much. And even 2 weeks ago, she told me, she wanted to see what they were up to, and she wanted to remember, yes, she wanted to know what was going to happen in all their kids' lives and stuff. And I said, Joyce, you will. We're just not sure what you're up to there. And we asked her if she would let us know sometimes. So, but, I'll miss her so much. Love you, Joyce.
Take this minute. Okay, so I have thoughts, but there were a lot of kids home today, so they didn't all get written down, so bear with me here. I think one of the biggest things as we go through life is thinking about, what is our legacy going to be? What are we going to leave our friends, our family, our kids? And when I think of Joyce and the legacy that she has left, I'm in awe. I am the person I am today because of her. Jesus told us to love your neighbor as yourself, and she loved her neighbors so well. In Matthew 25:35, it says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in." Hospitality is more than just a kind gesture, and Joyce knew that. She knew that it was a command from God, and it's a reflection of his love for us. And you knew that when you were with Joyce at her home, that you were family. It didn't matter if you were on the other side of the aisle politically. She may not have talked to you, but you knew that you were loved. As God in Christ opened his arms and his heart wide on the cross, giving us access to himself and his home in heaven, we too should open our hearts and homes to others. And she did that to me and my people from the beginning. She and Bill have helped us through the years, and also just served as an example of what we wanted to do, of how we wanted to raise our kids, how, a marriage should look like. And we are so incredibly thankful for that gift that y'all were able to give us. So yeah, when I think of her legacy, I think of Joyce. She's home, like that feeling that you get, that warm feeling where you're safe, you're loved, you're protected. And that's what Joyce is for me and my family. And we will miss her so much. But again, her legacy that she's created, we want to continue that. And I think a lot of families don't have that necessarily. And when the main person goes, you scatter. But I think we are all closer having known her and having her in our lives. So we love you, Joyce. We love you, Grammy. And we can't wait to be with you one day. But for right now, we are going to continue your legacy of hospitality.
I'm very fortunate, and we all are very fortunate, because we knew Joyce Kooymans, and we know Bill Kooymans, and we know the family. But we're also very fortunate because we know that Bill loved Joyce. And his example was his father, who loved his wife so much. And all of the Kooymans boys loved their wives. And I think you've given the example to your children to love you, for them to love their husbands and their wife. The reason I bring this up, because it's actually kind of a funny story. I got to know this family back in 1980. Met Marianne, everybody knows the story, so we're not going into that. So I met Bill and Joyce, I met Herman and Mary, and then Franz and Ellen. But then I met the girls and Eric, and we started going for walks, and we did all kind of stuff. So I became part of the family. How wonderful that was, because I was here without my family, and the Kooymans family became my family. Well, I'm going to tell a funny story on Joyce. First of all, for the 40th anniversary of Pa and Ma, we had a party at Foxford Drive. They had just finished the back porch, and we had this great party. And I don't know how many, must at least have been 30 people. So I think that was the 40th anniversary. And Pa and Ma were absolutely delighted with the party. Well, then the 45th party came. 45th anniversary came. Well, that was the funniest thing. And Pa said, now, I don't want anybody to do any work. We want it catered. We don't want anybody to do. Joyce, you did all this work for 40. You're not going to do it for 45. So Joyce and I got together, and Marianne and all the others, but I think it's primarily, Joyce and I. And we worked so hard. We felt like ducks. We were just gliding along, and we were just racing under the water. And at the end of the day, when Pa thanked us, he said, and I really appreciated it, Pa and I really appreciate it. And Joyce and I looked at each other, and Joyce said, I have never worked so hard to make it appear like I wasn't working. And, I will never forget that statement. But I want to thank the family for taking in this poor Dutch girl from the Netherlands. And my life would have been so different if it hadn't been for the Kooymans family and for all of you that I've met. And Joyce, you were a very big part in that. I know where you are. I pray that you will take some rest. You don't have to run heaven. God and Jesus are taking care of that. You're not in charge anymore.
So as many people have said before, there's definitely the importance of family was one of the things that Mom imparted on all of us. We would have dinners, and it was always a family dinner. We would sit down at the table every night, and we would sit and talk for hours. There was Sunday night was family dinner night, and we all knew we had to be there. I can think of a few nights that we were like, do you think I can get out of it tonight? No. So if you needed a date night, you had to bring the date with you because you had to be at the table on Sunday night. And then there were also the family vacations, as Eric mentioned, the many holiday gatherings that she did. But I always knew that Mom was there for me. In high school, when I would come home from school, we would sit on the couch in her office, and I would just tell her about my day. And as I got older, that turned into phone calls. I would call her every morning on my way to work. When we first moved to Florida and I was teaching, I would drive a stick shift car, and I'd be putting on my mascara, talking on my flip phone, driving my stick shift, just telling her about the day and about the students. And she knew my kids, and she knew what was going on in my life. Then one time when I was pregnant with Bryce, I called her and told her I was having some pains, and she said, you need to call that doctor. So I did, and the doctor sent me to the hospital. And I called Mom and said they were sending me to the hospital. She's like, I'm already driving. I'll be down there in about 7 hours. And so when the doctor came in, and he's like, how quickly do you want, this to happen? And I was like, well, we're not in a rush because Mom's not here yet. She's on her way. She made it. She was there for Bryce and for the other 2 babies as well. When Ansley was born, the anesthesiologist messed up and didn't get the epidural in right, and I thought my mom was going to take him out. But after Bryce was born, I asked Mom if she'd stay for a little while. She stayed for 6 weeks. Then she bought a condo in the area, and she kept coming back, which was I wouldn't trade a moment of that with her. Bryce was definitely very special to her. The first grandkid, Mom and Dad were definitely great parents, wonderful parents, and excellent role models. But seeing them as grandparents has been just a whole new level. They were always showing up for every grandkid event. They would come to sporting events, concerts, graduations. Mom would call and say, hey, we need to plan a vacation. Can you make this cruise or can you make that? And I'd be like, wait, we're in school. But, she was just like, we need to get everybody together. All the lake parties and the beach summer vacations, and, which we always knew that she wanted everybody there. And she made that happen. Mom has told me that she's very proud of me as Mom, but I learned everything I know from her and the amazing example that she set. But I can't step down without saying that Eric has been a huge, super part of this as well. I know he thanked me in jest, but we owe a huge thank you to him. This montage that he set up going on the sides, that was all him, and he has worked tirelessly for the last, I don't even know, days and days, trying to get that together and trying to get pictures from a variety of people, and really trying to showcase all of the amazing things that Mom has done and participated in and led. She was an amazing woman, and Eric really showcased that with all of this. So, thank you, Eric.
Nice job. Well, in 95, I started dating you, Brenna. I didn't realize that when you started dating somebody in this family, you became part of the family. Like, you really had to mess up, and I tried. Let's see, Bill and I, pretty good buddies by the time. And I was kind of, at that point, fair. At least I fooled myself. I thought I was a cool guy. And I would ride a motorbike around. And, well, I guess I fooled you enough to have you marry me. It's cool enough. But I would ride a motorbike around. Bill saw this bike. And I would take this thing to the lake, helmet on. Oh, man, he's awesome. Cool rider. Bill, like, I want that bike. So like a complete couple of morons, I sell him this bike. We work this deal out to sell him this bike. And you could see the spidey sense going off in Joyce's head. Those two idiots are doing something. We traipse up to the top of the hill, swap titles, cash like it was a drug deal. Come back down, he's grinning, I'm grinning, this is great. Joyce comes out, what have you done? Well, he says, I've got a motorcycle, Joyce. And she goes and looks at me. I'm thinking, I need to run. Witness protection? I don't know. There's got to be something. I couldn't believe it, but she let that slide. But yeah, like Eric said, I got the finger and the gritted teeth. What have you done? She let that slide mostly because I think she liked me, and maybe more so because you liked me. And that and the whole first grandkid stuff. Small things. Anyhow, that was a great story that she let. And thank God that nothing actually happened with that bike. It never ran worth a hoot anyway. So it was like sold no time later on. I don't want to tack on, but with Brenna's comment so she goes into labor with Bryce, the first grandchild, and Joyce is in the car somehow or another, packed. She's in the car. We'll call it a low-level flight to get down to Tampa. I think she's on the phone with a real estate agent at the same time to get that condo. And I'm kind of thinking, it's like the joke. The mother-in-law is moving down. It's like, oh my gosh, she's going to be like 50 yards from my house. As that joke goes, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. She was such an amazing help with all our kids. She was present for the birth of every one of our kids. Just an amazing woman. I've never seen anything like it. An absolute inspiration. With the coordination of events, like under pressure, it's like, hey, we got 30. Oh, make that 40 people showing up for whatever event it might be. Oh, we need to make more room in the Amberfield Thanksgiving room table. Eric, Brad, go get the card table. Go get that huge plywood sheet. Let's make a longer table out of it. It's like if you bump that thing with your knee, the whole thing was coming undone. But that was what she wanted, and we got it daggum done. And the way she would just handle, all the chaos of lake weekends. You think the lunacy of having infants all the way to adults and adults acting like infants and all that sort of stuff. And she would come up with all the food, and we would all be fed, and it would just happen. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Part of it, it's an absolute inspiration for like grace under pressure, being able to handle all that sort of stuff. Assign tasks, delegate. Man, she would grab that chaos of a lake weekend like I own this, and she would just crush it. Everybody got fed. Everybody had a wonderful time. We will truly, truly miss Joyce.
Thank you all for being here. I just had a few stories I had thought of for this last week, just thinking about Mom and all the times that we enjoyed. I know there was once they've talked about her being an interior decorator, and she most every time it always turned out beautifully. And Dad quickly learned that whatever Mom wanted is the way it was going to work, in terms of decorating. But there was this one time in 92, I think, they purchased the house in Cardinal Lake in Duluth. And their bedroom, all the walls needed to be repainted. But their bedroom, Mom's favorite color, or at the time, was mauve, or various shades of red. And so she had picked out a color that was turned out to be, for their bedroom, turned out to be a very bright shade of red, especially when the sun was shining in. And Dad walked down the hall, walking towards the bedroom, and he's like, this looks like the red light district coming through. So Mom ended up changing that color, but that was one of the very few times she didn't get the paint color just right. And like Eric said, over the last 5 months, I've been there with Mom. Tony and I have been there, and what I really appreciate the most is what I've learned about her passion for family. There would be times that she's in the hospital and she's struggling, she's weak, she's not eating, and she would say, I got to get home. I got to get home and help Bill. I got to go home and, take care of Dad. He needs me there. And, I would always have to remind her that you don't need to do that right now. You focus on you, worry about yourself. But it was never about herself. It was always about somebody else, Dad, the kids, the grandkids. She wanted to know what everybody was doing, what the next plan was. So Mom, like, I could just validate that she was a true fighter. I've researched about her medical conditions and the radiation enteritis that she has. The life expectancy is very short for most individuals, and Mom had survived that for 25 years, which, usually it's 5 to 10 years is what the research shows that you can survive with severe radiation enteritis. So to me, it's like 25 years of dealing with that. It just speaks volumes to how strong she was and how much she was going to fight regardless. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate this.
I probably have the most colorful story in here today. But thinking back to where the very first time I met Bill and Joyce, I'm not even sure that you knew y'all were going to meet me. But it was I got invited to a football game in Tallahassee. It was Florida State and Notre Dame. And it was on a Friday night. I think Jess and I got there early, and you and Joyce got there probably about 10 o'clock at night. And I can still remember, I came up, I gave her a hug. I still remember, she said, oh, wow, that's a great hug. And I remember we sat down and we were talking. I think she went to bed probably around 11, and you and I was talking till like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I would never, ever forget that. But little did I know, no one never told me about her passion for Florida State. The next day was the day of the game, Florida State and Notre Dame. And no one ever told me about her passion when Florida State isn't winning the game. Nobody never told me about her passion when the refs called a bad call against Florida State. Matter of fact, I learned so many words that I had never heard of in my life. And once I survived that night, I said, okay. I said, you know what? I said this is all right. But just like Brad said, and even after that weekend, I still remember Bill came to me and said, you know what he said? He said, y'all in a relationship, you're a part of the family. And he said, so funny. He said, this lake house is your lake house too. And I said, okay. But little did I know, he was right. I mean, he said, you can invite your family over, you can invite anybody over that you want to. Just the love that you and Joyce had given me all these years, 11 years now. I love y'all to death. And the fact that God put us in the position to be able to be there for y'all. And probably something you don't even know, Jess and I had a conversation probably about a year ago. And she said, oh, yeah, they have all of this care set up, and my dad set up everything for them to be taken care of when in the later part of their life. And I said, no. I said, in black families, we don't do that. I said, in black families, when someone gets sick, well, then guess what? We move in and we help them out. And I still remember when Jess came to me and talked about us moving in with y'all and helping y'all out. I said, let's do it. And I think God I think God led me to having that discussion way before we knew it was going to happen. And just to say, me being able to pick her up and carry her, just like she has carried this family for so many years, it's the greatest thing that I could possibly ever get to do. And knowing how safe she felt to allow me to pick her up and move her around. I can't tell you how great that felt. And the last that I had is I carried her around, and it just so many. I mean, just things that I would never ever forget. So I want to say I love you. I will forever love her. Thank y'all for inviting me to this family, and and this has been the greatest experience in the world.
I am not Grammy Opa's first grandbaby. In case y'all hadn't heard that story already. But Grammy and Opa, they hold a special place in my heart and the heart of all of everybody here, but all of the cousins and all of the family and my siblings and everybody here. She always made her house a home, a safe place for everyone whenever we needed it. When I was struggling in high school and with everything going on, her house was always my safe place. Whether that was the lake house or Amberfield or wherever we were at, wherever she was, that was safe and home. She made every place a welcoming and wonderful, amazing place to be. And I think that a lot of that was just her being there. And like everybody has said so far, she always thought of everyone else. She wanted everyone to be there and together and talk to everybody about what they were going through and everything like that. And this last couple of years has been a little more difficult. And I guess about a year ago, probably around this time, Grammy was in the hospital with Jess, and my mom was working, and they wanted someone to come up and hang out with Opa, and I was there, and I learned a lot about you and Grammy in that week or two that I spent with you. It opened my eyes to a lot of the things that y'all have done in your life. It kind of made me think about how y'all know so much about us, and y'all always ask about us, and you want to know how we're doing and why we're going off to school and who we're dating and all of the different things. Y'all always asked about us. But I didn't know enough about y'all, about you and Grammy, and I think that y'all have just been so open about what you want for us that I didn't learn enough about you. And learning it in this last year has been amazing. I mean, talking and sitting on the couch at the lake, sitting with you and everybody here and just listening to your stories it's been wonderful. And I learned a lot, and I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity to be able to do that and be with you and be with Grammy and everybody. I mean, she was always the life of every party. She wanted to host everything, and she made everything just appear. I remember, especially at the lake, we would come in from the boat, and as soon as we would go out in the morning, and we'd come back, and there'd be breakfast. It would be a full meal, like 5 courses. We were like, here's this, and this, and this, and this, and here, have as much as you like, and we'll make an extra plate for whoever comes later. And it was just always like that. And then we would hang out on the porch, and we would sit, and we would talk. And then we'd go back out on the boat, and suddenly dinner was ready. But that was just the life of the cousins. We would go out, and we would enjoy this life that they have made for us with the lake house and beach trips and all of the wonderful experiences that we got because y'all made it happen. That has put so many good memories for me and my family, and I think that I speak for everybody here in saying that we are immensely grateful for everything that y'all have done for us. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shannon, and Eric and I have been friends for over 25 years, which is incredible. Joyce was a beautiful woman. She really was. She just exuded it. And she, more than anything else, I think, was a giver. Everything she did, it was all about giving. And I remember the first time I met Eric, we were freshmen at Fort Lewis College, and we had the worst cafeteria food in history. It was catered by the local catering company that did the prison. I think they did the prison food. So it was prison food. And so Eric would have his hot plate, which we were not allowed in the colleges. And he would cook 5-course meals. And so we'd be in his room chopping up vegetables and making his 4-meat spaghetti. And then you have to sneak into the bathroom, and the RA comes in and wonder why you're washing cutting boards and knives and pots and pans. But, you know, when I met Eric and got a chance to see that, and then we'd have calling cards. Eric would have a 750-minute calling card to call Liz. And there was just sort of these signatures. And then it's like, hey, let's go do something this week. Let's go get out. And it was those are the 3 characteristics and traits of Kooyman, which is you value cooking, right? And everybody's welcome. It's always about, making fun memories and always making that important time for family. And so I remember the first time I visited the home on Amberfield Way, and I think it was probably 19. And I just remember the house, so beautifully decorated. I love the carpet. I was like, I love this. It's like, I want this house. And then I got to meet Jess and Brenna and the rest of the family, and I realized I don't want this house. I want this home. This is the kind of home that I want to have, that I want to build. And, from everything from summers at the lake house to family Christmases, I immediately became part of the family. As many people have said, I became part of the family, right? And I remember Eric when saying, come on up. There's 45 people, but it's fine. Just bring the whole family. Come on in. There's more room for everybody. And he would tell me about family vacations. You guys, it's like, well, we're going to the, on this cruise or whatever, and we're staying in a condo, and it's a 2-bedroom condo. There's like 30 people all sleeping on the floor. And it was just this sense of it didn't matter what the sacrifice was. That's what was important. And I think those 3 things, everyone was welcome. There's always enough food, and life was built around making memories. I mean, I just think that, I'm now married to my wife, Liz. We've got our 2 boys, Grayson and Ethan. And every time Eric's up, and sometimes when he's not, it's like, hey, come on up to the lake house. And Liz say, are you sure it's okay? It's like, yes, because we're family, right? We're welcome. And so I would just say, Bill and Joyce, you're still an inspiration to me. What it means to be a good father, to be a good husband, to want to create the kind of community, if I can create just a little bit of what you have created, that I've been able to participate and enjoy. And every time I would come up and say, can I bring anything? No, we got it covered. But seeing her and realizing that she had basically been sick almost the whole time that Eric and I met. If you didn't know, you would never know what she was going through. If you didn't know, you would never know the love that she had. You never know the sacrifice that she made. And I think the gift of Joyce was that she made it look easy.
Haven't stood for 5 minutes in work, my business. But anyway, when I was in my late 20s, I was working living in Jacksonville, Florida. And I got to the point where I hadn't met, dated a good bit, whatever, but I still had not met someone special, whatever. And also business-wise, I thought, it got to the point where I remember saying to my parents, I said, you know, I usually look forward to New Year's. I'm thinking, what will the next year bring? But I got to the point, I was close to 30, and I'm thinking, I'm not happy, I'm not unhappy, but I'm gonna have to do something. I mean, like something's got to give, like whatever. And I decided to check, maybe I need to move. Okay, one brother, Franz, who lives in Holland, at that time he lived in Miami, and I liked Miami. Okay, but it was always hot. I mean, I can't even think about that. And Bill and Joyce, they were living in Atlanta. Okay, so I decided, well, I'll write up a resume and I'll go. I took a week off work and I went to Atlanta, and I had interviews, but anyway, I got 3 offers or whatever, But then Joyce took me around to try to find an apartment. Okay, we spent a couple of days, at least all day, going this one, going that one, that one, that one, and finally I ended up. The apartment I found, and decided on was the apartment that Arina moved out of. And I remember looking at the name, and it was Musen, and only a Dutch person would recognize that to be Dutch. And so we've been since 30, we've been friends. We've known each other all that time. But also, I didn't know anybody else except Bill and Joyce. And at that point, Brenna and Jessica were there, and later Eric arrived. Okay, so, and they are, George, like on weekends or whatever, I would spend time there. Okay, and then I got to take the kids, and we went on hikes, and they slept over at my apartment, all of them around my bed, whatever, and stuff. And we played some music, whatever, and danced or whatever, and well, there's 2 things from my point of view, because I later married my dear Bob and was very happy. And but anyway, I never had children of my own. Okay, and I have felt a lot that being around Bill and Joyce and the 3 of you, Brenna, Jessica, and Eric, it fulfilled something that in me. It's the children I never had myself. It was 3 of you. And I really felt that way, and so that was great. And then there was another thought I had. Oh yes, and Joyce had said at different times, well, you were the second mom. You were the second mom, because I was there. Like they wake up from a nap, and 2 of them, they would, and they would, I was there, so anyway, it was very. Became part of that family since it was there. And then, so it means a lot, and anyway, so that's kind of what I wanted to mention, how much that means to me. and after that, all the grandkids. And I remember the first time, Brenna, you mentioned, because I was older too, whatever, and it's like, and she said, well, can Bryce spend the night with you? He was 4, I think. Could he spend the night with you like we used to? And I thought, oh, sure, It was just, and so then that began with the grandkids, so it's in phases. So, and it's, it's been wonderful, so I just wanted to relay that on. Yeah.
I just want to thank Grammy and Opa for all the amazing things they've done for all of us. I have so many amazing, great memories from family gatherings, and I really enjoyed all the trips to the beach, the lake house, cruises, and many other fun places we went to. From all the time I spent with Grammy, I know she always seemed so happy, and she was such an amazing person. No matter who you were, Grammy would make you feel welcome. I have so many amazing memories with her that are so special to me, and I will never forget them.
Very good, Mackenzie. I'm another outlaw that's just here to say the Kooymans family is amazing. They're full of love, and like to say that they understand the meaning of family is an understatement. I mean, they really get that family bond, and it's just beautiful. And when it comes to Bill and Joyce raising their kids right, I mean, you've got 3 amazing kids that grew up with such a good example of love and just how to be successful and hard work and determination, all that. And you've got these 3 kids with amazing families and kids. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. You have left such a legacy, you know, Bill and Joyce. Like, it's incredible. And I can say for sure they raised their kids right, because I can't believe I get to be married to Eric. Like, he is the most kind, loving, family-oriented, will crawl through glass to do whatever he thinks will make me happy. And it is like, to say it's a blessing from God, I can't even express with words, you know. So to be a part of this family is the biggest blessing that you could ever have. And I can honestly say that Joyce has made every single person in this room better. And, you know, you don't come across people like that really ever. I mean, she is the strongest human I've ever met. And Bill also, they're amazing. And to have a person that left such a legacy that we can say every single person in this room has been impacted, and she's made us all better. I mean, I have learned so much from her. I mean, my life has changed. I do things differently. I cook meals differently. I'm determined in a different way. Like, she rubs off on all of us, and it is truly amazing. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful every day. So Joyce is just an amazing person. I'm just glad to have been a part of this and gotten to know her.
So I don't have any spreadsheet for this, but I'm going to wing this and we'll see how it goes. It's a good start-off point. I am the first grandchild. So all those fun stories, they are me. I will say this. Some of my earliest memories are of the lake house that Joyce and Bill made. And being when I was a young boy and teenage boy, some of my favorite activities were summer vacation and food. And boy, did that lake house have some food. For many, many years, I had no idea where this food was coming from. Until one day I discovered the fridge in the garage, and there were pounds and pounds of beef and any type of food you could ever want. And she would prepare all of it in only a couple hours. I don't know how she did it. She must have had an army of chefs somewhere. But those are some of my favorite memories, and she'll always have a special place in my heart. That's all I wanted to say.
So I have a funny memory as I'm watching the slideshow. And I want to take you back to Amberfield, Christmas Day. Joyce would always have everybody there. It was when everybody was relatively young, because Brad had more hair, so I remember that. And Joyce wanted to do the Christmas pageant. Y'all, the Christmas pageant. And I'm an outlaw, so, you know, I just want to go along to get along. And so I'm there, and I start having more and more kids. She has the choir robes for the angels. I'm pretty sure we made a couple of our babies actually be Jesus in the manger, and that baby was going to sit in the manger too. There were walking sticks. There was a lean-to that we put up with the sheet to make it look like there was an actual manger. There were costumes for everybody, and there was a script. So the thing about Joyce is she was unapologetically herself. And when she wanted something done a certain way, by golly, come heaven or high water, it was going to happen. And so we read that script. The baby was crying, the lean-to was falling, the shepherds were wandering. But we were going to finish the script for that darn play. And then came the hymnals, because she wanted us to sing. There are very few people in this Kooymans family that are good singers. Brad, the outlaw, is the leader in that. So he would lead us. But those hymnals, they have like 4 verses, y'all. And these are the songs Christmas songs that nobody can actually sing past the first verse. Nobody knows the words. But we were going to sing all 4 verses. And I'm over there like, okay, that was great. And then she's like, here we go again. And we kept going and going. I was like, looking back, it's fond memories, but the Christmas pageant, it was an experience. And then another memory that we have in my household is it's a running joke for, of course, Thanksgiving comes right after the elections. Started about 12 years ago or so. And it became very clear that we needed to pay attention to who was running for president and who Grammy was voting for and who was likely to win, because otherwise we had to make other Thanksgiving plans. So we're like, and as I started having more children, I was like, I really love the big family Thanksgiving because they love their cousins. Thank goodness we sided with Grammy's side. So it wasn't uncomfortable, but it was like, gosh, I really hope this guy wins, because otherwise, like, I don't know what's going to happen for Thanksgiving this year. It was tense there sometimes. And then to Shannon's point, where you wanted to help because she did so much for everybody, and it's like, what can I bring? Well, finally, I just started bringing stuff because I was like, I want to get in on the inner circle. Like, I want to be those people, because that was the family I always wanted to be a part of. I was like, well, she's never going to say bring something. She's never going to ask for help, because that was Joyce. You never needed. She was a duck, like always busy underwater, but smooth on the surface. So I just started bringing food, and then she liked my food. I was like, yes, I've got an in. I was like, okay, she liked my coconut cake. Well, by golly, we're going to make the coconut cake. And I started figuring out what desserts actually got eaten. Trifles never really got eaten, so I didn't make those. I was like, okay, cakes, that is my thing. So like, I'm going to bring a cake. And then she started to ask me to bring them. It's like, I made it. I was so excited. And then as we have 7 kiddos, for anyone that doesn't know my family. And we started, I guess we brought the party. So for New Year's Eve, they stayed put this year because of OPA, and they invited us over. And it was a party, y'all. Like, the cousins put some lights downstairs. We had some disco balls and the dancing, because Joyce and Opa love to dance. Like, there was, the Dutch crazy song going on, and her and Opa were standing there just slow dancing with their arms around each other. And it's like, I want that. When I'm, after 55 years of marriage, I want to be dancing while my grandkids are dropping it like it's hot over here. Like, that is, like, she just, there's just those memories that stick out. But that Christmas pageant, guys, like, that was a little scarring. But I'm so glad that she made us go through it, because she loved Jesus. It's not one of those things where you just put it on the top shelf and you take it down for Easter or Christmas, but she loved Jesus, and you knew that, like, praying before everything, the way that she showed her love, and that's just really sweet memories. So, yeah. He's asleep now.
So I was a former boyfriend walking into family Thank goodness it was, maybe not direct in the family, but, a niece in Erica. But I did. I brought flowers. And I remember, I was, maybe giving a little warning what I'm walking into, big family, boisterous, but, I knew I was walking into people who, were accepting and loving and all that, but you're still nervous. And that's what I felt. So, I didn't grow up with a big family. And when I heard Erica had a big family, that was exciting. I'm going to walk into this, big family. I hope they like me. And, it just sounds like so much fun. And it was. And everything that everyone said is true. Bill and Joyce are so generous, just beyond generous. And when we first met, we didn't have our lives together. We were young. Erica was young. I was maybe not as young, or I wasn't as young. So I didn't really have an excuse. And, just being around Bill and Joyce, you just saw the life they built. And I wanted that. The Amberfield house, I have such great memories. And so I decided, okay, I got to get my life together. We did things a little backwards. So we had a little kid at home. And the pressure was on, and I looked up to Bill and Joyce and their careers and all they accomplished. And I was like, how do you do that? I want that. So, started a career in finance and so, okay, this is my path, and talked to Bill, a lot about that. He'd give me advice, and, that being his background and being in the corporate world and seen so much and so successful. And so I was driving from Athens, the other side of Athens, all the way into Buckhead when I first started, because I thought that's where you have to start, right? You got to go to Atlanta. And, maybe not the wisest decision because I really didn't have the money to drive back and forth to fill the car up. But, I was talking to them, and this is how generous they are. They said, well, why don't you just stay in Amberfield so you don't have to drive back and forth? And so they gave me a key to this huge house and just said, stay whenever you want. And I did. And no one's ever done that, something like that for me. So it really helped. And just being around that was just not just inspiring, but life-changing. One kid and now we have 7. And it worked, right? And yeah, and if you're, I think, at the beginning, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I kind of have to fake it. I don't, I don't know if I belong, in this family or whatnot. But, as time went on, it is like family, and they included us, and even it was just exciting to be a part of the family. And we get a dinner and they include us and they pay for dinner, and it's a big family. So that was great, and vacations, and they treat our kids like their own grandchildren. It was just like Erica said, it was, hey, this is what we want. What they built is what we want. And the years went on, I became less selfish. And as you have more kids, you have to be less selfish. But, it was inspiring to see, Joyce's love for her family and kids and grandkids. And it just I saw it just bring more life to her. Every time there was a baby, we bring a baby, into the house. Besides all the jokes of, how this happens and all that kind of stuff. She would grab the baby. You just knew if there's a baby in the house, Joyce is going to run in and grab her. And I love that. And we love that. We'd always joke about that. But she definitely is one of those people in the world that impacts you, whether you met her once or twice at the lake house and she welcomed you, or, I've known her for knew her for almost 20 years. I think people walk away after knowing her, feeling like, wow, what a special person. There's something about her that's special. And I want to be more like her and more like Bill, and there's other stories of their generosity in our lives. But yeah, I'm glad she's in heaven. And she was just an amazing part of my life. So thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. I get very nervous talking in front of people, but I'm here to represent a big part of my life and Joyce and Bill's life. We were friends with Joyce and Bill from the early 70s when they moved into the same neighborhood that I lived in. And 5 couples became very, very close. I remember way before kids were born even, and especially the first grandchild. But we, the first child, and I was privileged enough to drive her to the hospital because Bill was slightly out of town. He got there in time. But I just took my kids. I gave them a pack of hot dogs and some buns and sent them next door because back in those days you could do that. And I took off with Joyce in the car going to the hospital. And she's going like, well, I think I'm in labor. I just don't know for sure. But I said, we're going to the hospital. And sure enough, there we are. Brenna appeared. And then there was Jessica. And then there was Eric, which Eric, she went to the hospital every day to see you because she couldn't bring you home. And even passed me on 285. I had a flat tire. And she was on her way to the hospital, and it was just kind of a, sorry. I have somewhere to be. But I wish some of our group could be here because they're better speakers than I am. But I just want, Bill, you know how much y'all mean to us. And I've noticed a lot of other people talking this way too. When you talk about Joyce, you're talking about Bill too. They were such a unit and always will be. And when we thought we were going to lose Bill a year ago, we were there and Joyce said, I don't know how I'd do this without him. And I know, Bill, you kind of feel the same way, but you can because you have this whole group right here. And we all want you here as long as you can. And then when you get up there, or if I get there before you do, because I know she's redecorating everything and getting ready for us. We forgot to tell her to take a deck of cards because Burgess needed a gin partner. But I will miss her every day of my life. She was such a part of my life. You don't talk to anybody or see them for months, and it doesn't matter. You pick up the phone anytime and you talk to them, and it's just like you were right there. I'll never have another friend like that. So I'm so thankful she's in heaven because she suffered to stay with us. I know she did. She didn't want to leave. She wanted to see everybody grow up. Well, there's never a good time because there's your children, your grandchildren. I'm already into the great-grandchildren. And I want to see all of them grow up. But I know I won't be able to here. But I'd be seeing it up there with her. And she's seeing all of us up there too. So, like you said, you'll see signs. Birds pecking at the window. It's a sign. She's here. Remember that. So I just want you to know how much I love all y'all. And you are our family. Always will be. So even though I'm representing us, the others, they are here in spirit. And probably if Terry could figure it out, he's on watching. So he had to call Pat to see how to do it. And Pat said, well, I'll show you how. And so I hope we're not too good at all this kind of stuff. But anyway, Joyce was the best. And the one thing I can say about her is she never thought of herself first, ever. It was always somebody else. And she wouldn't let you do things for her. So even though you tried, she wanted to take care of you. So she took care of all of us. And she is still. Remember that. I love y'all.
Hey, I'm the oldest for Erica and Lee, their oldest girl, and I don't really have anything prepared, but I just wanted to say that I never realized how lucky I was to have Grammy and Opa. I just always assumed when I was little that everyone had a gathering of 50 people to go to for the holidays. It wasn't until I was maybe 10 years old that I realized, oh wait, this is not a normal thing. Like, not everyone has this, and it wasn't even until the last year that I really, really appreciated that I was so lucky to have this amazing group of people to go to every holiday. And they just gave me some of the best experiences of my life. I learned how to surf. And some of the best relationships in my life came from that lake house and from them. And I'll never be able to repay them for that. So I just want to say thank you to them. And thank you, Opa, so much for everything.
Sadie, I don't have anything prepared either, but it seems like I should be here because this is a very special time. And how I was the first one to come to Atlanta after you guys came here. And I was in Gainesville, finished my studies there, and I wanted to go somewhere, anywhere else. But I didn't know where to go or who to go see. And since you guys were there in Atlanta, I thought, well, might as well go there because I did want to go someplace where I knew nobody. And I lived with you guys probably for, a month or almost 2 months, I think. And it was a very, very rewarding time for me. You helped me kind of get my foot on the ground and keep on going. Joyce would, every day we would gotta go we first had to find a job where I wanted to work. And then I had to find a place to live in conjunction with that. Well, I wasn't planning on staying actually until the very end. When I did decide to, no, never mind. That's another phase. But I have come and gone several times in Atlanta, and I'm not the regular person that follows a certain track. Not after that first time that I came to Atlanta. But you always made me feel welcome. No, I don't think the family necessarily understood what I was doing or why I was doing some of the things I did. I just needed to, sometimes you have to just follow your heart. And I think that I have been, some of those times have been so tough, but having the family, having you and all the kids, and you and what you and Joyce have given me, and as a result, the kids, and it has really enriched my life, and I feel very blessed for that. So I want to just thank you for that.
Well, like some, I didn't prepare anything for today. But I think going over the memories and thinking of everything, it shows how interconnected this family is. Because of Aunt Joyce and Uncle Bill. One of my earliest memories, and this is a personal earliest memory, goes back to, and I don't think I'm in this boat alone. I'm pretty sure Eric went through this once or twice too. But when my parents were getting established in Atlanta, Uncle Bill and Aunt Joyce helped care for me while they were working as hard. One night I was there for family dinner. And well, when I was young, I was a little stubborn and I didn't eat my vegetables. So can't remember what was on the plate except for lima beans. I didn't eat lima beans. But this was Joyce's house. And, I like to think as an only child, I probably got my way a lot. That night, I didn't. And I learned a valuable lesson. I sat there until my mom came to pick me up because I didn't want to eat my lima beans. Later on now in life, when I eat my vegetables, I think of that. But going forward, I have a lot of memories with my cousins, Eric, Brenna, and Jessica. Not a single one of those doesn't come from what they gave us, the house they gave us. From the time that Eric taught me how to ride a jet ski or jump with me off the top deck. And now we're here in the next generation, seeing it happen all over again. I had some friends from broken homes that I brought. And they would always be like, I'm not opposing, am I? Not opposing. It's like, no, it's okay. I let them know, and they come in, and for some of those friends, they never saw family before. But when they came to the Kooymans, they learned it. And they took those memories home. And very recently, I was able to introduce y'all to someone who's special to me. And I talked with her on the way home. And all she wanted to talk about was Joyce. And everything that she had done, she was so amazed and impressed. And that's the thing, I think if we were to try and put everybody in here that she touched, I don't even think this town would be big enough. Her kindness and generosity knew absolutely no bounds. And it doesn't extend just to us as the immediate family. It extends to anybody that they open their door to. And once you were in that door, you were family. And you sure as heck never went home hungry. And so for that, it's important to me as I go forward, the values that they set forth and that I see being continued on and how this family will stay together, partially because we were taught right. And we really have her to thank her for that because she did so much for all of us. And she made it look easy. And she was always a light. There was always smiles. And she was at the head of all that. And it was just wonderful to be there for all of that and to see everybody here. And what we remember about her is just her kindness, her generosity, her fierceness, her passion. She never gave up. Ever.
Hello, all. You know, the early part of what we just heard, you know, I was talking about, you know, what happened with Joyce, and, you know, it's lost for us all, but she was and is a great person that really knew how to, you know, just how it went. Maybe I'm very lost track.
How to host parties.
Huh?
How to host events and parties. And
Yeah. Well, you know, the things that we did was really, you know, we just, I guess, from the day we got together and when we got married, we just loved each other significantly. We, you know, and she was really special to me too. But I see all these big signs. Eric went to work, and I see nice pictures of Joyce, and you know, she was really, you know, we had such a good life together, and we were able to, you know, include people and stuff like that. But you know, that was just became a natural thing for how we thought, and it was, you know, and you know, we all had a lot of love from her all these years, and so on, and I'm glad that you know, that over the time we had, it was so special, and I appreciate that, and what y'all have put together with is are priceless comments, you know, and it's great, and I really appreciate it, and I am you know, I'm not tired. I'm crying less now because, you know, it was, you know, it really could. She was so great that and what she did and so on. But you know, we're glad that we did all that, and we both felt that way, and so on. But you know, we also did some of our own stuff. You know, we went around the world just about, and we had a lot of people that joined us at times and so on, and you know, we you know, Joyce was just good in so many ways, and what else?
so there was a funny story that Dad was telling me when we were talking about Mom after everything, and he was mentioning that when they went down to Mexico to a partners meeting, that this was fairly early on, that Mom had come up with this idea that maybe she would build houses.
Oh yeah, that was. Yeah, we were we were going to Mexico. I was in the partner group then, and we we were sitting in a car going there.
Yeah, y'all were driving around
Driving
trying to
around.
get to maybe the ruins or something like
Yeah.
that, and y'all talked the whole way.
Yeah.
You came up with a great idea. She should talk to a friend.
Is that what I did?
She should talk to Burgess.
Oh yeah, that's
One is
right.
the big
Yeah,
chill.
Burgess was,
And,
and some of the original crowd that we all lived near each other and so on. So we went to Mexico. That's back when Mexico was a little safer than now. Yeah. But
but you supported her when she tried something new.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You just said, "Let's do it," right?
Yeah. Yep. I told her, and because she was always, we did things together and we supported each other all the time, and we loved each other, and
she returned the favor a little later when you thought you would switch businesses.
Oh yeah. I made a decision about and it was about a number of years later.
Yeah, that was
and then let's see where.
She supported you too, right?
Oh yeah. She did.
Let's do it. We'll make it work.
Yep.
We'll make it work. Even though they had one kid in college, I was at Clemson, out of state, and two in high school. But they did it anyways, and they always supported each other, and they made it look easy. They made it look like they could just handle it all. But they had some tough moments, but they always supported each other. Always loved each other.
And when I look at these pictures on the various things, it's just so much history there that I appreciate, Eric, that you did. That's pretty special. But I think I've kind of I teared for a while, but I know this is best for Joyce. Jessica and I went there many days, and it was kind of hard at times. But it's really great that she leaves such a heritage behind us, and she is. I loved her so much, and her loss is understood why and so on, and we heard that from the knowledgeable people that said what's going on with the medical situation, and so it was a great time and great life, and I'm glad I had her as long as I had her. So. All right, thank you.
We just want to thank everybody for coming, and we so appreciate just all the great stories and sharing. And if you didn't have a chance to remember something else, we're going to be today and tomorrow. We're going to be making little recordings and stuff like that, just so they can all come together. And we've recorded all of these. We're going to make a little montage for just to be able to, everybody can hear all the great things. Thank you so much.